Welcome to abombtozzzax. With me, Colin Holt. And my friends Dan Snellgrove and Jamie Firth. Here they come! Hello, welcome to abombtozzzax, my favourite Marvel character, where I, Colin Holt, actor, comedian, you may know me from the short-lived improvisation, My Dear Mark Watson, an improvisation show that featured, the twist, the hook being, it featured Mark Watson. It didn't last more than one episode. Joining me on my journey to discover every single character in the Marvel universe, to discuss them, to talk about them, which means discuss them, and to rate them in an order. I had this all ready. Right, here we go. Joining me today, first of all, a man, a hulking, hairless form, who I first met when he invited me over to his house to attempt with 3 other men to kill him in the nude. When I asked, when he was ready to crush my skull, I suggested, please just help me do this podcast. Let me live. And he took pity on me and joined me. It's Dan Kingpin Snellgrove.
Yeah, well, I'm still thinking about it.
Oh, seriously, everyone. Listeners, please do support us at abombtozzzax, patreon.com/abombtozzzax. Literally, my life is on the line. We have to make this work or he's going to crush my skull. Secondly, a man who I was going to describe as, despite his age, his ancient age, like a boyish teenager in his pants, working down at the gym. A man I was going to describe as one of my very best friends a mere 24 hours ago, but now I think is perhaps my greatest nemesis. We'll get into this during the episode. It's Jamie Firth.
I accept the mantle willingly. Yes. I'm Panto villain for this one, am I?
Well, we'll get into that. Now, this week, we are moving off the alphabetical order because Daredevil Born Again has appeared on Disney+. A little show I've seen both first 2 episodes of. You boys haven't seen either. Dan hasn't got Disney Plus yet.
Can't afford that Disney Plus.
Can't afford Disney. They are cranking it up. We'll put we want more money or we'll put adverts on. It's up to you. Do you remember all those idiots screaming about the BBC getting rid of the license? And now the BBC is running to the ground, and we're paying about 80 quid a month to get other streaming things. Anyway, that's not what this show's about. We're talking about Daredevil, one of the top tier characters, possibly one of my favorites ever. Not just him, but particularly his friendship group. And of course, that includes dear Franklin Foggy Nelson, a man who some love and some just don't get it. Daredevil. He may be blind, but that's all fine because he's got a radar sense. Oh, sorry, this was the Ghost of Scott Walker. The Ghost of Scott Walker's joining us. Here he comes. Okay, he's got one of the songs that I wrote as a teenager, not even a teenager, a 10-year-old, for Daredevil. I was very annoyed that there weren't enough theme tunes. I've been trying to remember it. I got to be honest, I'm not sure if this is right, but I sent it off to Scott anyway, an email to Heaven, and Scott came back with this. Daredevil, he may be blind, but that's all fine, cause he's got a radar sense and a sense of justice. The city needs him. Daredevil. Thanks, Scott. That was beautiful. Thank you. Couldn't quite hit the last note.
He really got up there, didn't he?
He really got up there.
Like teetering on the top of a ladder.
He was almost there. He is bass baritone, so give him a break.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think when you get to Heaven you can improve your range, or do you think it's?
Well, maybe
imagine
you get a boon when you get there. You can choose like
A boom.
a boon, like an
right.
angelic boon.
Like a boom box.
Well done. You've got to heaven. You can have like one of your abilities increased, like singing, jumping.
It's very D&D.
Yeah, exactly. I am in a bit of a D&D mindset at the moment, but I think that'd be cool. You get there.
Swordcraft. I'd like.
Yeah.
God, could I increase my swordcraft by 7? Thank you.
Sounds
I love
great.
heaven. Well, from heaven to hell, as we meet the devil of hell's kitchen, Matt Murdock. Beautiful Matt Murdock. Murdock, not related to Rupert Murdoch at all. I don't think there's ever any suggestion of a connection there. He's 5'11". He's 83 kilograms. That's not too light for a 5'11", but he is pure muscle. This guy. He has beautiful ginger hair, blind, but beautiful. I think not that being blind means you're not beautiful. He's blind and beautiful. That's what I'm saying. I love him. He was created by Stan Lee and Bill Everett. Bill Everett, who was a Golden Age creator, created Namor the Submariner and then sort of vanished for a bit and then came back to create Daredevil and then vanished again. Where did he go? We don't know. Daredevil was created in February 1964 in Daredevil #1. Boys, did you know much about Daredevil before this? Well, before the series, the Netflix series, which we'll get into in a minute.
I didn't know much about it, but I have watched that first Netflix series.
Have you seen the Ben Affleck film with Colin Farrell as Bullseye? Do you remember that?
I have not seen that. No.
It's
It's not
not-
to my detriment.
Yeah, I think I've not seen it in its entirety, but I think I did put it on for a bit and then was like,
It has an infamous scene where Daredevil and Elektra fight on a playground.
and that's Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. They were married.
They
Or
were.
Or were they not married yet?
They got married during that
They
scene.
bonded over martial arts.
During the scene, they get married. It's official.
That's nice.
I don't know how it works, but they get married by the director. It's really weird turn. So he is known as the man without fear. I think because he's blind, but I don't think that quite. I think blind people can be afraid, right?
They can be afraid and they can be beautiful.
Yes,
They
but
can
also
do
if
all
you-
that. Yeah.
If you can't see something, if anything, I think it would make me a bit more afraid. And I'm terrified. If I had a character be a man with a lot of fear, the frightened man. The man without fear was introduced with the question, can you guess what makes him different from all other superheroes? Turns out, like Justice, he is blind. Matt was brought up by his tough guy dad, boxer, Battlin Jack Murdock, a man who reminds me a little bit of your father, Dan.
Well, he's just actually arrived back from the shop, so I'm going to be very careful what we say now.
What we say about him. Well,
Otherwise
I
he
mean,
might
if anything,
come in
it's a
and battle me.
compliment. Battling Jack Murdock's a hero, right? I mean, he takes a wrong turn, but
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I just don't want to risk the battling.
wrath. He comes in.
yeah.
Well, he'd be more like karate Jack Murdock anyway, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He's not a boxer. He's not a. Anyway, despite wanting to be a tough guy himself, Battling Jack makes Mac a real sissy, in his words, spending all day with his head in books. You ain't gonna be no good bum like me, says Jack, which is what your dad said to you every day, wasn't it, when you were growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt's dear old mum has passed away, we assume, and Jack has made it his mission to bring the boy up right after getting the shit kicked out of him by bullies who give him the actually quite cool nickname Daredevil. That's not a mean thing to call someone, is it?
I mean, they were being ironic, right? But then that doesn't care. It doesn't matter. If your nickname's Ace, it doesn't really matter how you got it.
Yeah. Here comes cool dude.
Yeah.
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 Oh, by the way, we're being ironic. We don't actually mean you. Every time now he's got loads of confidence. Now he thinks he's really cool. Anyway, where did I get to? Matt suddenly remembers the idea of a gym and things like weights and rowing and a bike. Or is it just called bike? I don't think it's the bike. He secretly trains himself up while studying every hour. How does he find the time? But it all goes pear-shaped when good-hearted Matt Murdock pushes an old blind fella out of the way of a dangerously wobbly truck packed with radiation and driven by an absolute couple of clowns. Matt saves the day, but damn it, like Ant or Deck in the infamous episode of Biker Grove, Matt gets splattered in the eyes and blinded himself. What are the chances, Matt? But fear not. In hospital, Matt discovers that thanks to all that delicious radiation, yum, 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 although he cannot see, all his other senses are dialed up to 11. Not only that, he has a lovely radar sense. Not a bad deal, I guess. Never want to let life get him down. Matt is back, punching bags and rowing even better than he could row before. He even enrolls in law school, meets his lifelong best friend, Franklin Foggy Nelson, one of the greatest characters ever existed in literature, comics, or otherwise. But tragedy strikes when Battlin Jack refuses to throw a fight and is killed by his dodgy manager. Donny Osmond. No,
Donny Osmond.
By Donny Osmond, a.k.a. The Fixer. Matt is intent on revenge, but swore to his dad he'd never get involved in such things. Well, maybe he won't, but what if he becomes Daredevil? Then it's not him. It sort of works, doesn't almost, not really. But anyway, he makes a costume, hunts down the Fixer, who conveniently dies of a heart attack before Matt can do whatever he was going to do to him. We're not that sure. Thus, Daredevil is born, and justice has a new bitch. Sorry.
It's going so well.
I didn't write anything for the end.
I was going to say, did you just have a ... What?
You can see why improvisation, my dear Mark Watson, only lasted one episode with improvisation like that going on, can't you, really?
Yeah.
Did anyone see improvisation? No one saw improvisation, my dear Mark Watson. That's what it was called. Great. So let's talk about Daredevil issue number 1, the first ever appearance. Dan, did you enjoy? Did you like? Do you like the man, Matt Murdock?
Yeah, well, it goes back to that time where every single sentence ends with an exclamation mark, and it is every single sentence apart from
Every
the ones
single
that have-
sentence?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of, well, for me, it's jarring.
You feel a bit like getting texted by Donald Trump or something.
Yeah, exactly. But
Are you still getting texted by Donald Trump?
I'd rather not go into it. I think he's listening.
Okay, sorry.
Or Elon is anyway. Well, I got to find out that the colour of the coward, yellow, isn't it? He's supposed to be the man without fear, but yellow? Are you yellow, boy? Well, yeah, he is. He's wearing yellow.
You jumped a bit there, Dan, but his costume's yellow. Yeah, his initial costume. I think for but 6 or 7 issues. Then
That's crazy.
And they go, why isn't he just in red? This is silly.
Yeah, that shocked me. I was like, I know this guy. I've seen him, but who's this mustard coloured fella?
I'm guessing the old comics code was in force at this point, which I've mentioned before, which is where I've told Dan this 4 times. What was that? He looks really confused. It basically, they weren't allowed to put anything naughty in for a long time because comics got really naughty in the 50s with horror and lots of boobs and stuff. So I'm guessing they didn't do the full red at first because basically then he is Satan. He just looks like Satan, doesn't he?
So he's just Devil.
Spider-Man on that first.
Not Daredevil.
He would, well, I don't know. I think he was always going to be called Daredevil, but I guess they just went, we can't have a hero who looks like Satan. And then 6 episodes in, they went, yeah, great, why not?
He has got little horns. So
He's got little horns.
yes.
Yes. And this costume, of course, was eventually adopted by D-Man, Demolition Man, who I mentioned before. I think he literally finds the old costume in the trash. So yes, you found it quite shouty, quite full on. Interesting yellow costume.
Yeah, and we get to meet the 2 other characters. Karen Page, who is officially gorgeous, it says on the front cover.
Lovely big beehive on her.
But poor Matt can't see it.
Matt can't see the beehive, but he can sense. He can radar sense a beehive.
He hears her voice as well, and he says something about he hears her voice and immediately knows that she's super hot.
She's fit.
Yeah,
that is a fit voice.
Fit voice, mate.
Yeah.
And then his mate is officially,
and he can hear all the bees.
right?
I mean,
she buzzing. And Foggy Nelson, who is officially fun-loving. It says on the front.
Yeah.
So I don't know how anyone can have a problem with him, frankly.
fun-loving Foggy Nelson.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know why someone would be so mean.
As they hate fun? I don't know.
Okay, we'll get into that. So, we meet his gang. We meet his dad. We hear his story. I love the bit where right, first off, I'm going to say I love this, and I'm surprised. We're going to get into the Frank Miller stuff later, which is where Daredevil really kicks off. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Work of art. I imagine Jamie probably hates every panel of it.
Do I need to be here? I feel like...
No, all right. Okay, I think we should get this out in the open. I asked the boys last night if they'd seen Daredevil last night. Daredevil replied, no, Jamie replied, I saw the first 2 episodes of the first ever series and hated it. WTF, Jamie, I said. WTF? That means what the fuck? And he said...
Why the face?
Why the face? He said, I quote, I hate Foggy Nelson. No, Foggy Nelson is my... Okay, I've forgotten the quote.
If you're going to say, and I quote, I
quote,
and I paraphrase.
And I do not quote. No, Jamie Firth said, it's all just a bit of fun. We love each other, of course. I know the tension's really mounting on this, but it's all for play. Foggy, talking about Foggy Nelson, is my second favorite ever Foggy after the one in Last of the Summer Wine. I fucking hated Last of the Summer Wine, and Foggy was the worst thing in it.
I mean,
now Foggy was the one with the cane, wasn't he?
I mean, I stand by that. Yes, he was. He was the sort of old doddery man. I mean, this will be appreciated by no one who was born after kind of 1985,
or I guess who isn't from the UK.
Indeed,
For people outside,
reference.
For all our Russian listeners,
Yes.
Last of the Summer Wine is largely considered, if not the great, possibly, well, either the greatest sitcom of all time in the UK, or by some accounts, the greatest thing the UK has ever produced, one up from Shakespeare. But it's about some old men walking around. I think it started off as like a short film or something, didn't it? About 3 old men in a bath. Is that right?
Did it?
I think it started as a kind of like arty film almost, and then they turned it into a sitcom. I'm just going to pretend that's true. But Foggy was one with a flat cap and a cane. He wasn't the fun one. That was Compo. He wasn't Wallace and Gromit. That was Cleggy.
That was Wallace.
Wasn't that? Foggy was the serious. So he was quite the opposite of Foggy Nelson in some ways. Now, Jamie, what I want to find out here right now, are you talking about Foggy Nelson as a character, as a concept, as an avatar? Or are you talking about that actor's performance?
I was talking specifically about that representation of Foggy Nelson in the first series of Daredevil on Netflix. I really just did not like it at all. I just thought it was a really sort of bumbly, silly character.
I mean, he is a bumbly, silly character. I was lying in bed till, I don't know, 4 or 5 a.m. last night, thinking about what you'd said.
Yeah.
In all honesty,
I want to catch you. I want to cause you to lose sleep.
A lot of people hate that performance. Basically, you're not alone.
I
hate slagging off any other actors. It is quite annoying. I think the fundamental problem is Foggy Nelson is fun, is lovable. He wears a bow tie. He's got tousled hair. He's got a bit of weight on him. But he does always stick up for Matt whenever he needs him. He's a loyal friend. He's a bit of a bumbler, but he is a bumbler. He is clumsy, but he's kind, and he's actually good at his job. And I think what that actor did, whose name I can't remember, is made him snide and a bit sarky.
Yeah.
Am I right? Is that the problem?
I think it is. I mean, there's no hate here. I mean, I just felt like that portrayal was not great. And having read the comics, it's like, yeah, I can get behind that character as a character, but I can get behind that character as a sort of, with an Oliver Platt playing it, as a sort of
Oliver Platt. That's Foggy Nelson, isn't it?
Cuddly, teddy beary, smart friend.
What about our friend Johnny Donahue?
Yes, okay. I mean, if Oliver Platt's not available, well, we'll call Johnny.
Well, Paddy as Daredevil, Johnny as
I mean,
Foggy.
I thought Last of the Summer Wine was a niche reference, but if we're just now going to go into like our friend books, then
but who are they're successful comedians,
of course.
Okay, fine, all right. I sort of knew it was that. I was just trying to create some drama on here. I'm trying to take a page out of D. Trump's book, and just create constant drama to get them hits.
Yeah. Flood the zone.
That was actually the most tense I've ever felt in my life, that conversation we just had. John Favreau played him in the movie.
Yes, I just read that.
Good
Like,
call.
I went back and looked at that and thought, oh, well, that's complicated, isn't it? Because now he's
Happy
all
Hogan.
over the Marvel universe.
Yeah, but that isn't canon. The series is. But Foggy, that actor, and so I could just Google it, but I'm in a position right now where if I move anything slightly the wrong way, the entire thing collapses. And then
His name is Eldon Henson.
there we go. You grow to, if not love him, accept him, is what.
And perhaps, that's on me for having only watched 2 episodes.
B, surely Charlie Cox's performance as DD and Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin eclipses all that stuff.
Love Vincent.
No, but there's one bad egg, and you will not eat any of the omelette.
It just made it less enjoyable to me.
To be fair, if you did make an omelette with one bad egg,
Yeah, it was still the omelette.
you probably shouldn't eat any of the omelette, should you?
No, it's and apples and barrel, and one bad apple. Deborah Ann Wool.
One bad apple in an omelette is disgusting.
Deborah Ann Wool, like absolute celebrity crush territory as well, but it wasn't enough. It just wasn't
Who's your
enough.
celebrity crush?
Deborah Ann Wool. She was playing. Yeah.
Where did you know her from?
She was in True Blood, I think, beforehand.
See, I found her quite annoying, because I felt she was just like a level of emotional extremity at all times.
I thought she was
Like,
pretty.
stop crying. But she was pretty.
I thought she was pretty. That was it.
Jeez. Cool, Roger Egbert. Don't know why. Danny, you all right? That got really tense then.
It did. I had to recuse myself a little bit there. It was...
Okay, fine. Right, I'm gonna throw out some of my thoughts about this first issue, and let's see if we can. First of all, I think the artwork is wonderful. It's gritty. It feels very pulpy. It's proper throwback. I think throwback not even to the days before Marvel, the days before Superman, when it was like the Shadow, the Phantom. Do you know what I mean? It's the streets. It's New York. Everything's grimy and horrible. Unfortunately, I think Bill Everett leaves almost immediately after episode 1. After issue 1, so it loses that straight away. But I think when Frank Miller comes in, that's what he's harking back to. But I think I was surprised by how much is there from the beginning. You got Battlin Jack, the Fixer, Dee Dee's I love his flamboyance. He always does, despite all his tragedy, everything's with a smile, and which I think Charlie Cox really nails, that he's a daring do kind of dude. Foggy, all the lawyer stuff's great. I love when he does the workout.
Yeah.
Wonderful. When he realizes he could just work out even though his dad told him not to, but he goes to the gym by himself. What motivation!
Yeah, he means business.
And
Just
that gym is
in his
letting him.
pants and dark glasses.
He's only in his pants and his dark glasses, and they're just letting him do that.
Excuse me, sir. Could you wipe that down, please? Most people wear a tracksuit in this gym.
I really like the sort of explanation of the different things he's using as well. So he's weights, rowing, bike. It just shows you all the different, but it's all like very basic things.
It's a very small bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's really crouched
like
over it. It's like a child's
Yeah. Like a little clown
trike
cycle.
thing, isn't it?
It's like a stick with a wheel on it or something.
It's like when you go to the circus, there'd be somebody else jumped on his shoulders, and then there'd be another one as well, and they'd all flip, and then they'd cycle around on it.
That's his trick. That's his secret.
Yeah.
You want
That's
to
why they
know
call him Daredevil.
You know, I got all this muscle. I do actually, despite making fun of it earlier, I do quite like his reason for being called Daredevil, that it's a kind of like finger up to the bullies. I feel like the fighting is kind of believable, even though it's superhero and ridiculous. The way he swings around and into a room of 5 men and takes them all down. Even though the powers are vague, they make it seem possible. What do I mean by that? I guess I mean like this whole idea that, like, I was always as a kid, like, well, is he strong because of the radar sense? Do you know what I mean? And even though that doesn't really, if you look into it too much, it doesn't really make sense. It's just this idea that he can kind of operate in the world in such a way that he can just move his body I guess it's like Sherlock Holmes doing his calculations in the movie,
Mm.
of like where your fist is going to go and he'll move, and it's just really cool, and you kind of believe it.
There's a wonderful moment where he's walking down the street and an old lady says, "How confidently that blind young man walks through the street."
Yeah,
And it's like,
quite
well,
right.
that's his power.
I like that the blind thing. Well, in that case, Jamie, the blind thing's not really a weakness. Like, it's never really like this poor blind guy. It's never really. I don't know. I'm not blind. I don't know anyone who is blind, but it feels like a positive representation.
Yeah. It's that thing of like, he's lost one sense, but all of his others are like he's gone to heaven and increased every other one by one.
Do you want
Yeah.
some science on that?
I don't know what his singing was like, but
He's gone up 3 octaves.
yeah.
But he has lost one testicle. What was your? I do want some science. Should we head into Science Corner?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Science Corner.
So yeah, you might think like, does that happen? If you lose a sense, does suddenly all your other senses compensate?
Yeah.
And it's like, is that actually a positive message to put out there if it's not true? That like, oh, you must be brilliant at smelling. Actually, no.
Yeah.
Life's still pretty difficult and I do need some help, please. So I had a little look up and it actually, there's evidence to say that it does happen. That the mind is plastic, especially if it happens, you've always been like it, if it's happened from birth or from a very early age,
Yeah.
and you put training in, but it can indeed happen. Like you can get up to 40% difference in your detecting where sound's coming from.
Uh-huh.
Echolocation, that can improve by 100%.
What?
30% of like,
That's a joke.
no, seriously.
Well, do we have echolocation?
To some extent, like if I click my finger over there, I know that sound's coming from my right hand side, for example, but I can't say exactly where.
Oh,
But
okay.
up to 100% improvement in where something's coming from can be shown in studies. Pitch discrimination, in terms of music, up to 30% improvement on that. So yeah, the brain is cool.
Notes more accurately.
Well, you can hear them. Whether then you can, do it, I
Right.
don't know. But
So
yeah,
walking through the street, you're like, that C's a bit sharp.
bit sharp.
that's-
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
A
it.
tune a guitar or a harp,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
aim big.
I went very dark there and just imagined pulling out my eyes so I could sing better.
Well, actually, is it
Wow.
That's not the answer, is it?
is it a trope? But I think I seem to remember there's been like portrayals of like piano tuners like were often portrayed as being blind. Is that because they
Really?
can find? Yeah, maybe I've just made that up, but I think that's a thing.
There's a singing group called the Blind Boys of Alabama. Do you know those boys? Men.
No.
They're wonderful. Have a listen. They're great. I love them. I love them. Great. Well, thank you for that, Dan. Very interesting. So it's not that far from the truth. It's really not. So Daredevil goes on, part 2 now. Daredevil goes on to not really live up to his initial potential, I'm afraid. He, for a long time, fights very silly villains like Jester, Stiltman, Manbull, Mandrill. Mandrill's power is he can make women very horny for him. That's
No.
But he literally looks like a big mandrill. Yes, that is literally his power. It's sometimes he helps Spider-Man like a sort of mentor. He never really joins a team. He helps out the Avengers, the Defenders now and again. He is a horny devil, make no mistake. Firstly, he has his on-off affair with Karen Page, his secretary, who finally leaves when she can't accept his second dangerous life. He then has a fling with the Black Widow. They become partners on the streets and partners between the sheets.
Whoa.
They move to San Fran, get all groovy. It's beautiful. Finally, he comes back to New York. At one point, he gets outed by Karen and Foggy as Daredevil, and he just pretends it's his twin brother, Mike Murdock. A twin brother who doesn't exist, but then later in the comics does exist. He's brought to life by some kind of magical thing. But then that changes history. So he always had a brother. And then they just sort of go, what a horrible idea, and kill him off. And then we just forget that ever happened. Anyway, it doesn't get really good until a run by the young genius Frank Miller. Starting as a penciler, Frank takes over as writer and artist and creates arguably the single best Marvel Comics run of all time. You might know him from Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, or from one of the best Wolverine sagas of all time, from Sin City, from 300. But this is where it all really begins for Frank. He takes DD back to his noirish Golden Age roots, scrapes off most of the naff villains, introduces the fiendish, crazed killer Bullseye as Matt's nemesis, and borrows Spider-Man's gangster villain, Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. He also introduces Elektra, Matt's first love, who is also a badass ninja and assassin. She returns to DD's life before getting killed by Bullseye. At this point, we also discover that Matt's skills weren't just because he was such a bloody gym bunny. Like Elektra, he was secretly trained by another blind ninja called Stick, who was part of an eternal order called the Chaste. That's the Chase, not the game show. The Chase.
Right.
Forever battling evil ninjas. The Hand. Things get worse for Matt when Karen Page, having ended up a junkie porn actress, which is pretty grim, even for Frank Miller, sells her soul and Daredevil's secret identity to the Kingpin. Matt finds his entire life turned upside down and burnt to hell. Everything from his job to his house is lost, and he only narrowly avoids jail. Daredevil has the first of many, many breakdowns, eventually borning again, like in the series, and taking down Bullseye and the Kingpin. There we go. So, Frank Miller, we looked at one that's called Apocalypse. I threw you straight in there. All the issues are on the blurb below, by the way. If you want to read along with us, please do. Plus, I put some recommended ones you could also read. Matt Murdock, what did you think of it?
Mike.
I've been reading so much Daredevil. I feel like I feel I love Matt so much. I feel I might end up talking to him when I'm a bit stressed. He's the guy you would lean on, definitely, isn't he? Even though he constantly has breakdowns throughout his run. Dan, what was your take on this? I tell me if I'm crazy. I feel you would have liked this.
I didn't like it.
What?
I loved it.
Oh,
Yeah.
my heart was in my bloody mouth then. It really was.
I did that song. I don't like cricket. No, I love it. Yeah.
The master.
I was listening very intently to your heartbeat to tell if you were lying.
Oh yeah, this is
Zoom.
right up my street. This sort of this grittiness, brilliant. And the writing, that it's delicious. It's so well written. So it's poetic in places. And
That gets into the detail of your life, everyone's life. Like it goes between Daredevil's thoughts and Kingpin's thoughts,
yeah,
and just little details. I can't, like him just getting up and hearing something on the news, and you really feel his senses. You're with him all the time.
oh yeah, I love the way
with
it's
him on
put.
this journey.
It hops around, seeing all the different angles that this is coming at him. How the net is tightening around him. The noose, sorry.
Yeah. This is the point, where. As I say, where Kingpin has found out his identity, and then over 3 months, because that was 3 months ago that he finds out the identity, and then suddenly Matt Murdock wakes up one day and finds out all his job's gone, his house has gone, his house blows up.
He's having a terrible time.
He's having a
Everything's
horrible
going wrong. He overcooks
bad
his
day.
eggs. His tea goes cold. It's a nightmare.
I missed Countdown. Oh,
Yeah.
it's all going wrong. But yeah,
It'd
it
be
starts
quite
off
funny
with
if he
Karen.
just treads in some dog poo at the end as well.
Oh no. But yeah, it starts off with Karen. I thought, because I don't have the background to this, I thought perhaps she'd been kidnapped by the mean man that sat next to her.
It does
But
feel
is it
quite
just-
Taken, doesn't it? Like the film Taken.
It does, and like you say, she looks scrawny and like she's not eaten and stuff. But actually, she's had a tough time before this and has ended up, as you say, in certain films.
Adult films. She
Adult
left Matt because she couldn't handle the Daredevil thing, decided to become an actress, go to California. And then we catch up with her years, and then just goes from the comics for years and years. And then when we catch up with her, this is where it's ended up. And my take on that, I don't know about yours, but it is something where you could probably nowadays, it does feel a bit like, all right, yeah, a woman tries to make a fortune and ends up, it's almost like, yeah, this is what happens when you go and try and do something with your life, you'll end up in an adult movie. But I feel like it tells it from her perspective, and you sort of get a hint of the choices that she made and how she ended up there. It doesn't just feel like, yeah, she was always a bit like that or anything like that, you know? Did you feel that?
Well, I mean, I haven't gone on that journey with her. As I said, I didn't even know.
I mean,
that
just
fact.
within the episode, just where within the issue where it's her, you know, making that decision to give the guy Matt's identity.
Oh, well, I thought that she had been kidnapped and they were in that room and there was a mention of her not having had any food. So I thought they were starving her. And so she eventually was just like desperate to give it. But no, it looks like there's more free will than that, at least, involved. So, okay. And then, but from that, it all spirals out of control with Kingpin. I love when the Kingpin gets that information and says, find everybody that's had any contact with this note and await the kill order. Like, oh,
Right. And I love the fact, I don't know how much you get it from this issue, but it's a common problem where baddies find out the superhero's identity and then you go, why don't they just kill them? But he is the Kingpin and he's like, no one else will have this information. I'm going to sit on this and enjoy this. And you believe it in a way you don't necessarily, you know, when the Joker finds out who Batman is, you think, why doesn't he just kill him or whatever?
yeah.
But I
Yes,
really
a
believe-
systematic taking apart of this man's life.
Yeah. I
It's-
mean, at one point, he actually informs the IRS on him. So he tells on his taxes. So, you know, it doesn't get worse than that.
And it just genuinely but even though I've read this before, it starts where Matt wakes up and just finds like a letter and he can read it through the envelope or whatever. And it's from saying he's missed 2 mortgage payments. And my thought was firstly, oh, that's good that you can miss 2. Oh, I'll remember that for real life. But then also I thought, I just assumed that was just a thing, you know, in the way Spider-Man always kind of misses it. You know, Spider-Man's always like, oh, they're going to cut off the electricity and the phone. And, but no.
Yeah. There's also a wonderful moment in this comic where somebody knocks on the door and the noise, the sort of, is there a word for this? The text that describes the noise, the thwip, thwip, thwip and...
Sound effect.
Yeah, the sound effect in text says knock knock, but it's spelled N-O-K, N-O-K. And I was like, that makes sense. I don't know why is there a K involved at all in the regular spelling?
And makes it a little bit scarier and harsher.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
he's
don't
a
know why at
clever
any
man.
point he doesn't just go, oh no, you're looking for my twin brother Mike. He's not done his taxes.
God, this happens all the time. Bloody Mike Murdock, you'll be the death of me. He looks exactly like me. Exactly. Yeah. Does he also pretend he's blind? I think Mike Murdock isn't blind. He just wears sunglasses all the time, maybe. Yeah. And the artwork,
Can he not
fantastic.
smell or something?
Yeah. Frank Miller was only like in his 20s when he wrote this as well.
Oh, it's great.
What a dude. Although I'm afraid to say Frank did go down quite a right wing. You can still get a taste of it maybe here. Post 9/11, he went a bit insane and created a whole like anti-Muslim superhero called the Holy Terror. And this was kind of before people got cancelled, but I think, but a lot of people did like come to his aid. And I think he was struggling with alcohol and he's now kind of taken a lot of that back and, you know, but the work speaks for itself. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And this is what makes Daredevil great. And this is what the movies and the series, whether you think successfully or not, are trying to capture. They're trying to do, and I think it's almost a curse on Daredevil because it's so good. Everyone's just trying to do this again. And it's very hard, you know, lightning in a bottle sort of thing. Couple of thoughts I have about this period. I love Matt here because we feel we're with him. We follow his story, feel his pain, helped by being within his radar sense. I really we feel what he's feeling. It makes sense. I love when he's running on the rooftops.
Oh, yeah.
It all gets too much for him, the bloody IRS. So then he goes out and he jumps on a telegraph, on a telephone wires and he talks about the city singing to him or something, doesn't he? And
Yeah, she hums with power and tickles my legs with 1,000 flirting fingers.
wonderful.
It's poetry. It's beautiful.
I'd
Also
say
a line from one of Karen's films. Suspect.
it's quite a niche one. It's just about leg tickling. Leg tickling amateurs. Volume 5. Oh dear, that was a bit blokey, wasn't it? Yeah, but he's a poet in his heart, isn't he? And a lover. He's which I prefer. I think. Do you know what I'm going to say? I think I prefer him to Batman. They're often compared, but I think Batman is a billionaire. Do you know what I mean? He's a bit grumpy sod, isn't he? Really. He's kind of like,
There's definitely something boring Ben Affleck to all of these parts, isn't there?
Yeah, and gets it wrong twice. How painful that must be. And I know that he loves them. He loves comics, from what I've heard. Like, oh my god.
Ben, if you're listening, you can be on the pod.
Yeah, I guess. I reckon he'd just be really grumpy and weird. I think we should get that Foggy actor on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to be
I'll be
honest,
off that
I don't think either of them are going to do it, but you never know. You never know. So anyway, we believe that Matt is a good person because he chooses to be, not just a generic hero. And as in with most heroes, they're just like, yeah, I'll be a hero and fight crime and because I've got this power. And you often think, well, why would you do that? And why? But I feel like his motivations and his reasons behind it are good. He goes through a lot of shit. We're with him all the time. Despite being unfeasible, we believe his leaps across the city and his love for it. It's like I was trying to write a poem myself. It's all like as a haiku, by the way. Also, Kingpin's perspective. I love we get this perspective, like in something like Games of Thrones, where the villains also have personality and motivation. And even though they're obviously evil, and they're the baddies, we get where they're coming from and we accept it and understand it. And I love that Daredevil gets properly hurt. He gets battered all the time.
Yeah.
And you always feel he's not going to survive, even though it's comics, they always survive or come back if they die.
And it's this level of hero that I think is the level I most enjoy. I was having this conversation with someone else, actually, but, their favourite was Thor, and they love those super high power ones. But I like it when there is threat, there is jeopardy.
Mm.
You don't have to find a kryptonite in order to find something that will hurt him. He's hurt by a baddie pulling the rug from under him, and he falls over. Oh, I've bashed my arm.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like that. I like that bit in particular. The rug pulling, I thought was very nice.
I was being a bit overconfident. I've got to hurt my arm now, haven't I?
The Disney Plus series starts, without trying to spoil anything. Well, Jamie, you'll be very happy how the Disney Plus series starts. Do you know how it starts? The first 5 minutes?
I don't.
Something happens which will bring a big old smile to your face. That's all I'm saying.
Wonderful. Is it related to a character from Last of the Summer Wine?
It is.
Cameo. Yeah.
And his unfortunate passing. Anyway, what I think they do amazing in the old Daredevil series and the new one even more is it starts with a fight between Daredevil and Bullseye, and they're just throwing things at each other and like hitting each other, but they hit each other like in a real fight. Not that I've ever been in a real fight particularly, but they like hit each other and then they'd like hurt from the punch. And then they're like fucking knackered immediately. And then just like, and then hit again. And then he just grabs something and throws him at him and it sticks in his arm. And then he like, Bullseye goes up the stairs and Daredevil's like following him. Like someone from Last of the Summer Wine, like staggering up the stairs. But it's just like I did a little bit in a wrestling match once for comedy night. And we prepared it and practiced it and stuff. But within 20 seconds, I couldn't breathe. I was like and I managed to get through it, but I was and I imagine if you're in a fight at this level, not that probably anyone really is in the history of humanity, but it's great. And yeah, love it. Right. Finally, part 3. After Frank Miller leaves the book, we have a cavalcade of amazing writers. Everyone wants to work on Daredevil. He's gone from being an almost cancelled, unpopular character to the coolest cat in Marvel Town. Anne Nocenti, I think that's how you say it, takes him on a spiritual pilgrimage where he meets the devil himself. Kevin Smith of Clerks fame, this man, this director, he writes a story, A Tale of the Antichrist, which turns out to be a trick by Mysterio, in which Karen is killed by Bullseye. Also, Bullseye kills 2 of his of his lovers. Karen was right all along. It's not safe being around this horny nutcase. Brian Michael Bendis takes him on a crime thriller adventure where he's outed in the press and fights to keep his identity secret. That's a great one. I recommend. Finally, Ed Brubaker has him in jail while another Daredevil runs around fighting crime. We read this one. Dan, you enjoyed this one too, I'm guessing.
I didn't enjoy this one. I really enjoyed it.
Oh!
He did it again.
Every time. He's so good at that. I was like, oh, he means it. I know he means it this time.
This time he's for real.
You're the best actor.
Oh no! It was
Good as
delicious.
Foggy.
It starts with the rain lashing down, and there's a beautiful bit as you see him leaping through the rain. This is what I want in superhero stuff. Yeah, definitely. He duffs up
Like
a few
wet.
guys, wet and grimy, and yeah, you really feel there's a kick he gives to someone's face, and you really feel it. It's like you say, it's not that our heroes, they get hit and then they slide across the floor, but they're totally unharmed and they run back in again. It's a real fight going on. And then he's behind bars. What?
So that Daredevil isn't even Matt Murdock. Did you clock that? Were you confused?
Oh, of course. So I thought that was like him
the past.
thinking about the past, but no. Then you find out later that there's some other guy in a devil costume. Well, I'm going to need some help here from you.
Well,
Yeah.
for reasons to do with him being outed as Daredevil, the FBI turn on him and actually throw him in prison. And
Why
they're
did they
really
do that?
they're
That's a bit
making his
mean.
life hell. I can't remember what their reason is. I think it's partly there's one guy who wants to make a name for himself. Daredevil is pretty brutal. He does beat people almost to death quite regularly. Do you know what I mean? I guess there's kind of good reasons. He's not the Fantastic Four, he's not a kind of nice guy by any means. I think it's to make a name for himself. I think it's that some of the police hate him, some of the police corrupt, but it's the FBI in particular want him in prison. It's where the Bendis run ends. The Brian Michael Bendis run ends with him being put in prison. And so Ed Brubaker, who created the Winter Soldier, you may remember his stuff, he takes that baton and carries on with him in prison. And not only is he in prison, of course, he's in prison with the Kingpin. And various other fiends, Hammerhead, Black Tarantula. You get a real taste of all these different gangs within the prison and him trying to survive it, all the while pretending he's not Daredevil. And I love that he is just willing to lie constantly. And Foggy at one point says to him, how far are we willing to cross this? And it's like, well, just whatever. Like, he will lie, even though he's like bangs on about being Catholic all the time. But I guess he can just get redeemed, can't he? He can do a confession.
And he's met the devil, you say? He's actually met the real devil?
Yeah, Mephisto.
Right. Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
I don't know how much those ones are kind of canon. I think they just go, was that a dream or something, Yeah, so it's really good fun. And I love the intricacy. I love that he works the system. And there is a Daredevil running around who we think Foggy is... Matt thinks Foggy is put up to do it so that he has an alibi. He can't be Daredevil because he's in prison. I love how he understands bad guys. I love how he's got a foot in both worlds. Again, in the way that I prefer him to Batman, I like that he hasn't come from money. That he wears sort of joy on the outside, but he will also beat the crap out of you. I like that he's had to earn every penny. He's had to, he hasn't been able to pay for all this stuff. I love how that captures all that. Any guesses who the other Daredevil turns out to be?
Well, Mike?
It's not Mike.
Peter
Oh.
Sallis.
It's Peter Sallis. It's Wallace.
It's Wallace from
Gromit.
Yeah.
It's a real weird twist, actually.
Didn't see it coming.
No one saw that coming. It's
Punisher?
What? Who? Fisher.
Fisher?
The twin brother Mark.
Mark Murdock.
Yeah.
No, but
Malcolm
is it
Murdock.
Yeah. They're all
The
M's.
Fixers.
Punisher, I said. I
Oh,
don't know.
Punisher. Oh, not
I
the
don't know where he lives, Punisher.
Punisher. That would be a good call. Punisher, it turns out, is actually in the prison with him. So that's even more fun. It gets
Oh.
even more fun when the Punisher organizes a prison break and Daredevil's with him but doesn't want to be with him because he can't be seen to be with him, but has to be. It's great. It's great. He's
Oh, yeah.
constant dilemmas. That's what we want these characters to have. Dilemmas. And
Yes.
always on the edge of doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. But in a believable way, in the way with Batman,
Yeah.
where it's like, I will do all this, but I will never kill and all that. I don't always believe it. Whereas with this, I feel like, yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, let's just say at one point, I think it's the end of the next episode, you see this Daredevil who's out on the streets fighting someone, and suddenly their fist starts to glow.
Oh,
I love it when I give big reveals and I get absolute blank.
Yeah.
the fist.
The fist.
Iron Fist.
The glowing fist.
It's Iron Fist. That's right. It's Iron Fist, which isn't that great a reveal, except it's quite a cool way of showing it that his fist just suddenly starts glowing. So it's just Iron Fist. It's Fistor from He-Man. If you remember.
Fistor, yeah.
What a great character. Big beard. Right. So anyway, after that, Daredevil escapes from jail, somehow becomes Kingpin of Hell's Kitchen himself. Can't remember how. Green Goblin Norman Osborn takes over America in Dark Reign. We'll discuss that another time. And at that point, Daredevil completely loses it, allies with the Hand, who are those ninja guys, takes over New York himself and builds a big Japanese pagoda called the Shadowland. I think it's a pagoda. It's probably more than it's a castle. Pagoda's just like a thing you have in your garden, isn't it? But that kind of thing. Daredevil is possessed by the Hand's god devil, the Beast. So they have a kind of god devil they worship called the Beast, who takes over Daredevil. So he literally becomes a devil. But he's somehow saved by Luke and Iron Fist and all those guys. After that, his story continues in similar cycles of having fun, falling in love, somehow getting the person he loves killed, having a breakdown, doing something bonkers like building a big ninja castle in New York, then being born again one way or another. And at some point, we discover his mum isn't dead. She just ran away to become a nun,
Yes.
which I think is in the TV series. I think that's in series 3,
Oh.
which is a strange twist, not one anyone sees coming. So that's
It's in-
DD for you.
It's in one of the strongly hints at that in one of the extra comics that we read. The very short one.
Did you
Well, the
read
Battlin,
Yeah.
Battlin Jack Murdock?
Battlin
Jack
Jack Murdock.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that
Yeah.
a lot, Battlin Jack Murdock.
Yeah. It's quick.
Yeah.
It's a brief little outing, but yeah, it's good.
We find out the true history of Jack's dad. He'd already become a kind of drunken heavy working for, I assume he's working for the Fixer at that. I think that is the Fixer, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it's a
he is,
younger
yeah, yeah.
Fixer. And he ends up really in a sorry state until the love of his life, Maggie, who's ran away, turns up with a baby. And that baby is Matt. She leaves him on the floor and runs off and
It changes his life.
changes his life. Do you know what it reminds me? It's very Quentin Tarantino is obviously a big comic books fan. He's taken a lot of that for Pulp Fiction, Bruce Willis story.
Yeah,
Right.
I see that.
I think there's a lot of that in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of you going down in the 4th round. You got to throw the big fight.
Take you down in the 4th bloody
And
round.
then I don't think we covered that really. So his dad throws a big fight that Matt's at. He's supposed to throw the fight, and he actually wins it because Matt's there. So he's murdered by the Fixer. And
Because he knows Matt is blind by that point. He's been through the accident. He knows
Yeah.
he's there. And he thinks, sod it, I'm going to win.
he gets shot in an alley, and as the
Mile.
policeman's saying, "Oh, he's dead," we then cut to Foggy, and it just says later, and it cuts to Foggy telling him to snap out of it. Come on, Matt, pull yourself together. Let him go. He's been dead what? 2 hours? Come on. Are we dwelling on that? Come on, I'll give you a job. And literally, he says like, snap out of it. I'll give you a job. We could start a company together. That'd cheer you up, wouldn't it? What with your recent bereavement?
Here's the Foggy hate I was waiting for.
Here we go.
there we
From
go.
Jamie
I'm just
Firth.
getting into it now. Yeah.
Okay, in Foggy's defense,
Yeah.
both young men, they haven't faced this kind of thing before. He doesn't know how to be. He doesn't know how to behave in such an experience. And he's trying to, pick him up. He'll be okay, Matt.
Well, you would say that because you're a big Foggy stan, aren't you? You just stand for Foggy.
Snap out of it is probably a bit harsh when your dad's just been murdered.
Come on, buddy.
Grow
We're
some
we're starting a law
balls.
firm.
Man
Why
up.
not?
My dad's going to give us loads of money. Stop being depressed.
And
Come
at least
on.
he won the fight, you know.
His
Don't
dad
forget.
does give him loads of money, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's another thing Foggy brings, of course, loads of dosh, which
Good
does
one.
help. So I say, you know, Matt doesn't have Batman's billionaire money, but he does have a really rich, chunky pal.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I echoing? Someone's echoing.
You did a little bit there for a moment. I did pick out one more thing. There's a lovely note on that first episode, that very first issue of Daredevil. There's a lovely note on the front page from Stan Lee congratulating people for buying the first edition. And it says, you know, you wouldn't part with this for, you remember your Spider-Man first edition? Well, this is your Daredevil first edition. You wouldn't part with it for anything. It's going to be incredibly valuable. It's going to be worth, and I looked it up. And it was 12 cents that first issue when it came out, which would have been about $1.29 now. So about £1 in British money. And in 2021, a mint condition Daredevil 1 sold for £250,000. So for your $1.29 investment, you got 250,000 smackaroos.
Stan was right.
He
Stan was right.
Stand
He
for
brings
Stan.
a lot of marketing stuff, Stan.
Mm.
He brings, that's what we need. Sell. That's what Arnold Schwarzenegger says. Create your art and then advertise.
Right.
So if any listeners have any ideas how we can get other people to listen, at least
There's a couple of Last of the Summer Wine forums. I'll drop a link in.
sure, on the Discord.
Yeah.
The Foggy Discord. On the Foggy Discord. Wow. Well, that is good research there, Jamie. Well done. Well done, both of you, for your wonderful research and for being dear friends. Where does he go? The man himself. Do we start? Let's start backwards. Battling Jack Murdock. Where do we put him in the order? Is he top, middle, or bottom? I know he's a minor character, but he's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm going middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Like lower middle. Like I mean,
He was a
good.
criminal, and he did not live up to his agreement to throw that fight as well, which kind of makes him a bad person.
I feel like we can't. Does it make him a bad person? I mean,
Well,
he
the
was bad to-
fixer probably lost a lot of money on that. No one ever thinks about the fixer and his.
always standing up for the money guys, aren't you?
Wow.
It's always helping the man. I mean, we can't put him above Gambit, I feel,
this is it. This is it. There's certain ones he can't.
but I
Go
think we
beyond.
could put him one below Gambit. I think I prefer him to Callisto, Caliban, Sabra, Absorbing Man. Even I know he's
Okay.
just a boxer, but he's real.
And he's instrumental in creating what maybe we're going to agree is one of the greatest of the superheroes on our list.
hold
We'll
on.
see.
Okay, I'm putting him in at 23, Battling Jack Murdock. Okay, next, Karen Page. Not such a great character.
I've not seen
Not
any
a
of her
bad character. Above Betty Ross, I'd say. More, I mean, at least in terms of her story, is more interesting, right?
films. Okay.
What
Yeah.
happens to her? Should I just put her literally above Betty Ross?
All right.
Okay. Or actually, above her is do we think she's above Angela? Remember Angela?
Auntie Angela, yeah. I think she's
Thor's
probably,
sister.
Let's stick her in there. That's the longest pause in the history of the podcast. Let's put her in there. Let's not overthink
I
Put
could
her
it.
in that pause.
Karen.
I got to put Karen Page one below Angela.
Karen and Angela. Yeah,
Dracula.
there's a sitcom.
Which sounds silly, but Dracula is kind of crap in the Marvel universe. Okay, then we've got someone else. Oh, you know who? The man himself, Franklin Foggy Nelson. I want to put him in the top 10.
Top 10.
That's
Do we prefer him to Abigail Brand?
I mean, I'll plead the fifth on this one.
Okay,
Ugh,
all right.
I
Well,
guess so, but
You think so?
well, where's she then?
She's number 8.
Blimey.
This was early days. We liked her a lot.
Yeah, that won't last.
Isaiah Bradley, who is the Black Captain America, is number 7. You see, some of these you don't know. Angel's at number 5. Apocalypse at
Okay.
number 4. Porcupine. We're not putting him above.
Well, no, it's not.
Are
Come
you
on,
kidding me?
come on.
I think let's put him 1 above Abigail Brand, 1 below Abigail Brand. For
Okay,
feminist reasons.
I'm happy with him around there. And is Jamie now going to come in and bash him down to 80th?
I'm happy to, like, I've obviously been swayed by like only 2 episodes of a TV show. I don't think is fair for me to get involved with what you clearly know better than I do.
This is not how we get hits, Jamie. You need to come at me with venom.
I am angry and he should be bottom of the whole.
Okay, there we go.
There it is.
You know what? I'm going to put him at number 10 after Adam Warlock, because I think Adam Warlock is kind of cooler. Ultimately, Foggy is just a chunky man in a bow tie.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, but he's going to get knocked down 1 more. I'm going to say it. I'm voting Matt Murdock, Daredevil, DD, the horny hero. I'm going to put him at number 1.
Just remind us of the top 3 there.
Okay. Oh, well, let's have the countdown, please, Daniel. Here we go. Top 20. In 20, it's Weird Green Man, the leader. 19, Winter Soldier. 18, Angel Salvador. 17, Zombie. He's just a zombie. 16, Flip Flip. Here's the Abyss. How's he hanging in there? 15, she's an old lady with a cat. It's Agatha Harkness. 14, another blind lady. Alicia Masters. 13, Ronan the Accuser. 12, Annihilus. Some of these you don't even know. 11, The Shadow King. 10, Franklin Foggy Nelson, one of the greatest characters ever created in literature. 9, Adam Warlock. 8, Abigail Brand. 7, Isaiah Bradley. 6, Deathbird. 5, Angel. 4, Apocalypse. 3, The Porcupine. Number 2, Captain America. Number 1, Eric Lenscher, Magneto. All right.
Wow.
Is he above Captain America?
I prefer him. I value, as we discussed, what Captain America could bring in terms of social commentary. I think that's.
But Daredevil brings that in terms of
But
social commentary.
yes. Okay, yeah, I think he is.
Okay, he's above Captain America. Is he above the Master of Magnetism himself? An old man in purple who can move, who can bend spoons, versus
Leading the
he's
witness.
really good at touching stuff.
An old man in purple. That's what we're started off mustard, went ketchup.
What do you say, Jamie? Because come on, you say.
I think number 2 behind Magneto. I will.
Okay, Jamie says number 2. I say number 1.
I think number 1.
Number 1 it is.
Oh, no.
We have a new best hero, best character in the Marvel Universe. Will it change next week? Almost definitely not. But we've got some more big hitters coming up. Next week, myself and Nick are going to be talking about the Ant-Man. All of the Ant-Mans.
Talking to the Ant-Man.
We're going to be talking to Ant-Man. Hank Pym, Scott Lang, Eric O'Grady, all 3 of the Ant-Men, all of them absolute creeps, we discovered. And then after that, we're going to continue our Daredevil deep dive and meet some of Daredevil's most deadly villains, the Kingpin, Bullseye, and Elektra. Villain / lover / hero.
Right.
Exciting stuff. Well, boys, I had a wonderful time chatting to you.
Great.
Our show is listener supported, or could be. If any listeners want to support us, go to patreon.com/abombtozzzax. We are on Instagram. Look for abombtozzzax. And also you can email or Gmail Nick at abombtozzzax@gmail.com. Please send us your thoughts, questions, where we're going right, where we're going wrong, and get on that Patreon. There's some extra stuff and more to come. It's been a lovely session, boys. I feel like we got a lot out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Never change. And I will see you in a couple of weeks.
Shout out to Sphinx All.
You have been listening to abombtozzzax, my favorite Marvel character, with me, Colin Holt, and my friends Dan Snellgrove and Jamie Firth. There they go! Please remember to support us at patreon.com/abombtozzzax.